Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon. Investigators in the Idaho case involving the murders of four students, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonsalves, Zaina Knodel, and Madison Mogan, are probing purchases by alleged killer Brian Kohberger for Amazon purchases, Apple data and communications, and payments made through PayPal, Venmo, and other searches he made on his computer. This is not brand new information. However, it's coming to light now. As more of the discovery comes in, folks are expecting the discovery information just to pour in. However, it comes in quite slowly. That's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories.
There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped in 10th and Ranch, Michael Byler.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, folks. So among the click history they're looking for in regards to Brian Kohberger, of course, the person you're looking at on the screen, they're seeking information concerning knives. Obviously, at the scene of the crime, a K-bar knife sheath was discovered with Brian Kohberger's touch DNA on it. Obviously, the police believe that Brian Kohberger used a knife to commit these murders. That would seem to be quite obvious. The knife sheath was found near the body near Madison Mogan. But again, the weapon has never been found. And that, of course, it would be a tremendous piece of evidence if they did find it. However, if they don't find it, there is enough evidence, I believe, to gain a conviction. And a series of search warrants that were posted last Tuesday, the court document that was dated on September 8th, authorities requested purchase history and payment method details for an Amazon customer whose identity had been redacted. The warrant also included a request for all detailed customer click activity pertaining to knives and accessories, as well as a long list of information that could flesh out the customer's full shopping movements and interest on the site, including items saved to the cart, suggestions for future purchases, and items reviewed by that customer. The Moscow police did not immediately respond when they were asked questions through the media. The warrant requests all details from the account for two precise time periods: March 20th, 2022 through March 30th, 2022, and November 1st, 2022 through December 6th, 2022. The warrants were served in mid-May, several months after Kohberger's initial arrest, and just a week before a North Idaho grand jury handed up indictment against him. The requested data was received by law enforcement in the beginning of July, inventoried and placed into evidence at the Moscow Police Department, according to an affidavit included in court documents. Also included in the newly posted documents are search warrants for Apple, PayPal, Venmo for account identities that were also redacted. In the Apple search, authorities requested extensive account information, including all devices, addresses, and numbers linked to the account, means and source of payment, all emails associated with the account, and attachments. And in order to locate any materials referencing the planning or commission of the quadruple murders, according to the warrant. The warrant also requested the contents of any instant messages associated with the Apple account, as well as the contents of all files and other records stored on iCloud. Pretty amazing, pretty intrusive, Uh, if they do have success with this warrant and they get some of the information that they want, for example, if he was searching for a K-bar knife and that is revealed, that's pretty powerful evidence. It still doesn't produce the knife. However, evidentiary wise, it's extremely powerful for them to have uh, gotten this evidence from this, and again, showing that to a jury, it's not like having the knife, but it's pretty damn powerful to show. I'll use a Gearyism, consciousness of guilt, premeditation, and that's what that will show here.
Revealing dozens of major companies are being forced to turn over information in connection with the murder case against Brian Kohberger.
All right.
Among those served, tech names like Apple, Amazon, Google, and DoorDash, social media companies Meta, Snapchat, and Tinder, and retailers Walmart and K-Bar Knives, the brand of knife sheath found at the crime scene with a single source of male DNA linked to Kohberger. But not all the warrants are focused on the suspect. Some are requesting bank and social media information about the victims.
They're trying to find out if there is a hidden link that could explain a motive.
They will never be forgotten.
The 4 college students were found stabbed to death in an off-campus home last November. Authorities still haven't publicly released a motive, but alleged cell phone data shows Kohberger stalked their house at least a dozen times before the killings and even went back to the crime scene hours after the murders. Experts say data from these warrants may help investigators piece together an even stronger digital footprint.
They are going all in, if you will, gathering every single conceivable piece of evidence so that if any doubt is raised, they will be ready.
Meanwhile, we're also learning new details.
You know, folks, I just want to comment on the obsession that media has with motive. And we've discussed it ad nauseum on this show and other podcasts. I've discussed it that motive is not a necessary element of the crime. Is it nice to have? Absolutely, because it explains to the jury what were the motivations, thus motive. What were the motivations of the accused? But it's not a necessary element in order to get a conviction. But it seems as if the obsession the media has with motive makes people believe that it is a necessary component for a conviction. And I just want to underline that it is not a necessary component.
Details about what officials say Kohberger was doing the moment he was arrested at his parents' house across the country in Pennsylvania.
Brian, what you doing?
The 28-year-old wearing gloves while separating his trash.
Mr. Kohberger was found awake in the kitchen area, dressed in shorts and a shirt and wearing latex medical type gloves, and apparently was taking his personal trash and putting it into a separate Ziploc baggie.
The Monroe County 1st District Attorney calling that behavior significant for the investigation.
To me, that's incredibly damning. It shows a consciousness of guilt, that he was making sure that his DNA did not end up in the trash.
Other newly unsealed search warrants show what police did seize in Pennsylvania, including a gun and knife, black face masks and gloves, a cell phone, multiple laptops, and a book with underlining on page 118. Investigators also say they found a shovel in Kohberger's Hyundai Elantra and seized parts from the car itself, from the headrests and the seatbelt to brake and gas pedals.
Sure does seem like they have an awful lot of evidence, Gotti. Kohberger's preliminary hearing that's set for June. How do we know what these new search warrants could mean for that hearing?
You know, folks, again, all of this stuff is not always in the correct chronology. However, it's just coming out. These warrants, of course, were initiated in June, and they're just coming out that they're coming back. But they're not going to tell us here, the public. They're not going to tell what the results of these warrants were. Did they score pay dirt here? We're not going to know that. But what we do know, obviously, is the evidence that they're attempting to garner from these warrants. And if they do hit pay dirt, it's hugely helpful for the prosecution.
Individuals. Now, experts say that is likely to protect the prosecution's case, possibly prevent tainting a potential jury pool, given the national attention that this whole ordeal has received. Meanwhile, Brian Kohberger's preliminary hearing, that's set for June. It could last an entire week, and he has not yet entered a plea, but Kohberger's...
Folks, we know that, again, he has entered a plea. The case was supposed to start in October. However, what we know now is that it has been put off indefinitely. So this is something that the defense chose to put this off, not the prosecution, but the defense chose to put this off to get ready, because the voluminous amount of discovery that's still coming in, by the way, still coming in, that the defense needs to prepare for. And again, this is a death penalty case, so that it takes on that much more urgency. So we won't, until they're not even at the stage yet of picking a jury. I want to play a little bit of Law and Crime, their take on this situation here with Anjanette Levy.
Brian Kohberger has pleaded not guilty to murdering 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus home last November. Kohberger was a student at Washington State University, not far from the scene of the murders. Police found the sheath of a K-bar knife underneath one of the victims, Maddie Mogan, but to our knowledge, a murder weapon has not been found. Since March of this year, Moscow police have served several search warrants on social media companies, banks, and even the K-bar knife company. But the records are heavily redacted and the warrants are sealed. The latest documents show in July, detectives seized records for Apple, Amazon, PayPal, Venmo, Google, and YouTube. Also, they seized records for Spotify. But we don't know whose accounts they wanted. We do know the Amazon warrant asked for the click history of the account owner. The warrant to Apple sought messages and anything saved to an iCloud account. And the PayPal and Venmo warrants were looking for financial information like transactions, billing info, geolocation data, and any emails or phone numbers that might be connected to the account. Kohberger waived his right to a speedy trial in August, which means the trial is postponed indefinitely. Joining me to discuss these latest search warrants in the Idaho 4 case is somebody who is very familiar with evidence because he teaches it at the Beasley School of Law at Temple University. He is Professor Jules Epstein. Welcome back to Sidebar. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Tell me, if you would, Jules, what does this tell you that just in the past 2 months or so, this trial was initially scheduled for October. It was initially scheduled to begin today, in fact, with jury selection. And back in July, they are sending out all of these search warrants. We don't know who they're for, whose accounts, but it was for Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, YouTube, PayPal, Venmo. What does...
One of the things that these warrants sort of shine a spotlight on is how our privacy, which if in this 21st century, if we have any, we've given it up for convenience. And the convenience of using a credit card, the convenience of shopping on the internet, the convenience of emails, the convenience of social media, the convenience of Spotify, the convenience of Facebook, of Instagram, of TikTok, of all of these things that are huge intrusions into our life. However, give law enforcement a bird's eye view into someone's life and all of their habits, their email habits, their texting habits, their shopping habits, their internet search habits. All of these things are a open book now, and people can argue. I remember years ago, a relative of mine said, "Oh, he didn't want to get Easy Pass because he didn't want the government tracking him." Good luck, good luck. How do you feel now? That was 20 years ago. Easy Pass is the least intrusive thing that's out there. You can find yourself talking on your phone, and next thing you're receiving commercials from what you were talking about. So who's eavesdropping on who? Privacy? I don't think we have privacy anymore due to the fact that we all want the convenience of the modern day.
What does this tell you?
Well, this is reading tea leaves, but it suggests a bunch of possible concerns. And number one, this is a death penalty case. And prosecutors have to be and want to be at their most thorough in a death penalty case. And right now, while the evidence is compelling, it's also largely circumstantial. His car, or a car just like it's seen near there. His cell phone indicating travel in that area repeatedly. Of course, there's the DNA on the knife sheath. Whether that's enough for a jury to convict and give the death penalty is anybody's guess. Many jurors or prospective jurors in death penalty cases have said, forget about beyond a reasonable doubt. I will never vote for the death penalty unless it's beyond all doubt. So one explanation is this is the prosecutor trying to cement their case. Another is they're doing just what good prosecutors and police do, keep investigating. And coincidentally, by keeping investigating, that adds or potentially adds to the arsenal of evidence that they have.
One thing that this is what came to mind for me when I saw this. So this is a death penalty case. It was initially scheduled to begin on October 2nd with jury selection because Kohberger had asserted his right to a speedy trial. He later waived that right to a speedy trial because it appeared that both sides, both the prosecution and the defense, were not ready to do this. I mean, this is a case with a voluminous amount of evidence. Why are we requesting, we don't know if they're for Brian Kohberger. They could be for maybe an alternative suspect. We just don't know. Or one of the kids involved in this, but we don't know. Why are we requesting this stuff so late in the game if we were, looking toward trial in October? Shouldn't these have been things that possibly should have been requested much earlier?
I don't know why it took people time to initiate these requests. If I understand it correctly, they already have the results. So
Yes.
In theory, they could have been ready for today had the case been going. Again, it may have been somebody said, oops, we never checked that. It may have been they got lead number one that made them think, oh, now we need to follow up.
Interesting, folks, which also leads me to believe, I don't buy that they forgot to do this. The esteemed law professor said, it's a possibility, but that would be a huge snafu if they forgot that. What I do believe is that discovery has to be handed in before the start of a trial. Has the trial started? It hasn't. Do you think that the prosecution potentially has a boatload more of evidence that they have yet to share with the defense? I would bank on it because, again, the rules are that they have to turn in the discovery before the start of the trial. And the prosecution can make up excuses as to why they haven't. Has the defense yet received the FBI's investigative genetic genealogical profile that they created in order to come up with Brian Kohberger's dad first on the knife sheath and then Brian Kohberger? Have they ever turned that over? I think not. So, again, I would count on the fact that there probably is a boatload of more evidence and, the trial has not started yet. Folks, we're going to keep you being informed on this case, keep updating it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories with another short for you guys. Have a great day, everyone.
One episode just ain't enough.